So we got blank polycarbonate and Duralex. Use this to remove all the static. That's just a plasma lighter. Just a little bit of this. Grab a paper towel and make it damp. Should probably get some microfiber cloths for this, but whatever. And we're gonna let that sit for about 15 minutes. So I'm gonna open up this. And this is a little program I wrote in Python that loads audio. And I use this to automate the groove spacing. And since we're going to be cutting this this tune at 45 RPM, I actually slowed it down because we'll cut it at 33, but it will play at 45. If that makes sense. All right, so all the keyframes are set to change the pitch of the groove or the spacing between the grooves. Now I'm going to hit check space, and that will tell me how much disk space I'm using. And if it's over 100%, that means it's too much, and I gotta change something, or else it won't fit. I'll check, make sure it's still good. And 71%, so that's perfect. Now I'm going to save a transmit file, which is just basically a file full of a number array. And that's what will actually transfer to the record lathe over Bluetooth in a bit. Now that is loaded and ready to be, once I hit enter, it will transmit over to here. So fire this up. Got a stepper motor controller hooked up to a stepper motor. And this is a Raspberry Pi Pico that controls it. So I'll turn that on. I'll go to Bluetooth. Turn it on. So now that's set to receive. So I'll come over here and hit enter. And now it's sending the data. Now, I receive the data, so I'll just put it to start. So now, when I hit start, it will cut a lead-in groove. Then this light will turn on, telling me to start the music. And then I can sit back and it will record the whole disc, and it will stop. So now that that's done, we will open up Audacity. Alright, so now we got our audio here. And we want this to be 45 RPM, so I have my macros here, and I'm gonna do lathe prep 45 RPM, and that's gonna do a whole bunch of stuff. And here it is after. So that's what we'll actually send to the cutting head. And what that did is, it first, let's see, then it does a high pass filter, which cuts out everything below 25 hertz, because those very low frequencies will cause the needle to skip. And then this changes the speed from 45 to 33, since we're cutting it slower. So when we do that, it gets better quality and gets more high end. Just normalize, and then I apply this acceleration 2 to it, which you can look that up online. It's basically, it's a compressor that does stuff to make the music ideal for vinyl. So I put that on there, and then I go into these 2 macros. Basically, I compress frequencies around 1000 hertz, because those will come through very harsh and a lot louder than the rest of it if you don't do that. And that's just how the records work. And then the last macro, it applies the RIAA curve, or the inverse curve, which basically takes the low end way down and boosts the high, because phono preamps invert that in order to get more dynamic range and less surface noise. And it also applies a bunch of other EQing to balance out the frequency response of the cutting head itself. I will turn on the power amp, which drives the cutter head, because it needs a lot of power to drive it. And now we're going to figure out about how loud we need it. I do this by just kind of, I don't have a meter, it would be nice, but for the time being I just kind of feel the bass and make sure it's not too much. And then I write down in a note, like a text file, how loud I had it so I can remember. Now, it's been 20 minutes, so we're going to wipe off the excess turtle wax. And we're going to call that good. Still a little bit around the edges, but we're not going to be cutting anyway. And then I have this, let's see what it's called, a Record Doctor clamp that I actually took. This was what was on here originally, but it's too big and the head will eventually come off and hit this, so I put another smaller nut on there. And then I just have a piece of gasket that I cut out, so that goes on there. There. Push down and tighten it, and then I just use this little clamp and just tighten it. And I make sure that the disc does not slip. Start the turntable, make sure the torque's all the way up, and this is a Reloop RP7000 turntable, because you'll need one of the newer ones with a lot of torque. Otherwise it will have speed fluctuations that are more noticeable. And then we just I got a black light here. We'll turn that on, and we want to get it to 32 degrees Celsius. 32, 33. Alright. I'm going to take the weight off the back, start it, and lower it. Once that green light turns on, I will start it. Now it's recording it. song just ended, and now it's cutting out the lead out groove. And then once it cuts the lead out groove, it'll stop. And once it stops, I'll let it go around a few times to cut a loop, so the needle stays in the loop when it moves. And now it stops, so let it go around a few times. And pick it up. Wipe off the needle. The needle is a sapphire cone-tipped embossing needle. You can get those and the blanks on, I think it's lathecuts.org or something. I'll leave a link in the description of the video. And we can shut this off. I'll just let it cool down a bit before we unclamp it, and then we'll try and play it. I'll wash it with some soap and water, get all the leftover wax off, make it look all nice and shiny, and stick the label on it, and that's all there is to it.